Hello, everybody. My name is Alesh Eisner, and welcome to the Canadian Money Talk. Uh, I am here with Rob from the Mindful Investor. We are going to do the last podcast in our series, and we wanted to uh, put out there and discuss some of the themes that we're seeing in investing and kind of where we think that there's opportunities in the future and where things are going. So we uh, we have a couple of themes in common that we'll have a lively discussion on, and we also each have a couple of our own. So welcome, Rob.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Alish.
All right, my pleasure. I think this is going to be saving the best for last. I think we're going to have a lively discussion on the themes. One of my themes, and it's actually an ongoing one, and it hasn't really come to fruition yet because it's progressing and it has been progressing for a while. Is I believe in emerging markets. So emerging markets, as opposed to developed markets, would be uh, some of the uh, kind of Eastern Europe. It would be Africa, it would be Vietnam, it would be Malaysia, for example. China might be on the list. There's also a different list called frontier markets, which some would say would be like certain states in Africa and Vietnam, for example. So there's a bit of a fine line there, uh, but keep in mind, uh, foreign markets aren't emerging markets necessarily. Just because it's outside of North America doesn't make it emerging markets. Europe is developed, UK is developed, Japan is developed, and so on. So that's one thing to keep in mind. But my theme about emerging markets is that generally there's a young and a growing population, as opposed to the developed markets, which has uh, the developed markets have an older population, which generally isn't growing anymore. And so the young population is sort of up and coming. Some of those countries might be fairly poor, and you have people being pulled out of poverty. And so I like to invest there because that's where future growth is, uh, at least in my belief, is coming from. It's difficult for a company to make more money and grow its share price by keeping the PE the same when you have a population that isn't growing. So my theory is that you have young people which don't want to be on the farm anymore. If I'm generalizing or stereotyping, my apologies. And they want to drive a Ford. They want to listen to an iPad and drink a Coke. And so I think that's where the growth is going to be. So I've been investing according to that with a few ETFs, as well as monthly purchases, and so I've sort of been going with that theme. So now that I've sort of tried to sell it, Rob, what do you think?
So, when you say emerging markets, like say Vietnam, what are we hoping for? We're just hoping for the whole economy to grow and like the infrastructure gets better, just everything, or is there different sectors within these emerging markets? Let's say Vietnam is known for a certain thing, or it's just you betting on the economy.
I'm betting on the overall economy and on the
Okay.
overall population.
Yeah.
So the population is the key because if the population isn't growing, you don't have more people working. The GDP isn't growing. The companies can't sell more products, and so uh, the prices of the investments stagnate. And when people also higher education, training, they become more productive. You get the higher GDP, and the some of the some of the old style of work goes away, and you get higher growth. So yeah, I mean, it's a high level theme for me. I you know country by country. I mean, that'd be a whole bunch of research to pick out sectors. But I'm just saying that I've been investing in uh, what is it? Europe, Asia, Far East indexes, for example, which does include Europe, but it also includes Asia and the Far East. Um, so yeah, I've been going at it at a high level as opposed to picking
Yeah.
specific countries.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's ETFs where you can buy, you can buy the index of Poland, for example, if you really want to pick a specific country, which I do not have the knowledge for.
Yeah, yeah, I see. Like if I just plug in Vietnam ETF, I see this VanEck Vectors ETF, and it's performed quite well over last year. It doubled, and then the components is pretty much everything within the economy. It's like homes, the dairy products, banking, and probably consumer goods and textiles. So pretty much like the traditional industries. And what you mentioned about like the younger crowd, learning tech and stuff, because I do see that a lot because I outsource some things from like Upwork or Fiverr, and I get a lot of like bids from like Vietnam or Philippines, and they just learn the basic things like say video editing or just designing logos, but then all that production is like kind of supporting the developed countries. So I don't know if that counts as a GDP when they work like for us type of thing.
It does, but I think a lot of these countries are being used. Well, China by choice are being used as producers, but they're not consumers. The North Americans and the Europeans are the consumers.
Yeah.
So those countries, as long as they keep doing that, I think they'll remain fairly poor. Uh, they need to start consuming as well, and not just producing, and that way they will. Well, the only way they can get there is by becoming wealthier. Which I mean, China is sort of the prototype for it. They've managed to do that, and now they have a larger middle class, much larger and constantly growing, which is now actually consuming the goods. So they've moved from a world producer into producer and consumer, and they're still growing. They're still growing their GDP in well, at least according to them, in fairly significant growth rate. While you look at Europe, which is stagnating, Japan stagnating, and a lot of that has to do because there's just no growth. So
Okay. So what kind of percentage are you like distributing to this play?
yeah, I mean, I I own quite a bit of global small caps. Uh, I think they have a small percentage there. Every month I invest into a TFSA, and it's like 40% is going into an emerging markets index fund. So I mean, it's a small, like it's monthly, so it's a small dollar amount. But yeah, overall, I would say maybe 30% of my portfolio is in emerging markets one way or another, because like I have balanced funds, which are also a small percentage in emerging markets. So I don't want to put all of my money there. I still have the Canadian home bias, obviously, and the U.S. has been doing quite well the past decade, frankly, while the emerging markets have been underperforming. And during that time, I've been putting the money in. So now I'm hoping that there's going to be a nice return at some point. So that's the theory.
Okay. Like I mean I like Vanguard, so I just plug in and then see their emerging markets ETF. and then when I dig in,
Yeah,
it's like the top out of the top 10 holdings, about 7 or 8 of them are from China. Like
yeah,
Tencent, Alibaba, Meituan, like Ping An insurance companies, banks, it's all China stuff. There was one that's Taiwan, there's Taiwan Semiconductors, that's TSMC, that's a good one. But it's hard to find like something from Vietnam or like Philippines or whatever.
yeah. You'd probably have to search for something that excludes China if you didn't want it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm sure there is ETFs as well as you could build it up out of individual countries as well.
Yeah.
I I mean I don't want to be that granular about it at this point because I wouldn't know how to weight them. You could I guess you could weight them according to the EFI index just to see what percentage. But then China would still be in there for about 33%, I think. I One of the Vanguard ETFs that I use is VEE, uh,
Mhm.
and that one is 33% is China. So yeah, it's just market weighted, I think. And
Yeah.
China's done quite well, so I'm hoping the other countries will follow suit.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a good play. Diversify a little bit.
yeah, yeah, and a lot of experts are recommending to go outside of North America, but I think a lot of people are just familiar and happy there, and the returns have been great. But I mean, you have to be buying where the returns haven't been great. Having said that, like said, 10 years I've been investing into foreign equity, and it hasn't done horrible, but it hasn't done awesome. So I'm still kind of waiting for that time. I hope the folks listening have enjoyed our discussion, and maybe they'll be able to leverage some of these themes in their own research and in their own uh, purchases and investing as they wish. Please do your own research prior to investing in any of the companies that we've mentioned or following up on any of the themes. So I have been Alesh Eisner of the Canadian Money Talk. This has been my friend Rob of the Mindful Investor. I hope you've enjoyed our podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for watching, and check out my channel if you well, if you're curious into what I do at Mindful Investor.